Stereotypes, an oversimplified generalization that assigns certain characteristics to particular groups, often in negative ways. In our daily lives, we often don't think about the religious stereotypes and how they affect people, whether you are a Muslim, a Christian, or any other religion. Throughout history, religion has shaped the lives of billions of people, from the ancient civilizations of the Roman Empire to the contemporary era and everything in between. Stereotypes can be often damaging to one's culture, community, traditions, and what they believe in. However, these fallacies are not just a misunderstanding, but a growing basis of prejudice and discrimination. To answer these misconceptions, we went to a local London mosque to speak to a former religious advisor for Western University.
What is your name and what's your role in the community?
My name is Arij Anwar. I'm one of the imams in the London community. Religion to me means it's the way we understand how the world works. It's how we understand our place in the world and how we understand how to make a contribution to the world that we live in. That's what Islam means to me, and that's what I preach to others when I talk to them about Islam.
How do you think people perceive Islams?
There is a perception of Islam that is found in the media, and there's a perception of Islam that's found amongst the people. The people generally perceive Islam as like any other faith. The more they interact with Muslims, the better their understanding of Islam and more evolved and more nuanced it is. However, the media is very, very cut and dry. It perceives or it projects the religion to be one of irrationality, one of a backward mentality, insinuating violence at all turns. And you see that from how Muslim characters are antagonized in TV shows, how news is presented even about conflicts such as what's happening in Gaza right now. These are things that play into all those stereotypes, unfortunately.
Yeah, how do you think you can address those issues?
Muhammad Ali, the great boxer, said that your service to the world is the rent you pay for being here. So it's a beautiful expression because that is in many ways how we should operate on social media and off social media. It's always about service. It's always about presenting good and rebutting evil.
What are some common misconceptions about Islam?
Common misconceptions about Islam are quite a lot. I'll maybe share two. One is that Islam is a faith that kind of just has no place in the modern world or the Western world. In reality, Islam is from the same tradition as the Abrahamic faiths, and the core of our theology is very similar to the Judeo-Christian values and theology. So whenever someone talks about Judeo-Christian values, in reality those are Abrahamic faith values, and those are also found in Islam or are also prevalent in Islam. So to separate Islam from the Abrahamic faiths is a misconception. The second misconception is about this idea of inherent violence or inherent backwardness. There is nobody who is inherently violent as a human being. There's nobody who's inherently backwards as a human being. But to project that upon a group of people who are very large, 1.8 billion Muslims, is a large misconception. It was something that was driven politically for many years, and now it's something that the media has carried. And unfortunately, there's no unfortunately, we as Muslims, we end up bearing the cost of that. The narrative that is presented about this, that here is an example of them being inherently violent, for example, is the socio-economic context is removed. And if you were to add that context and put any people in that situation, they will react the same way.
Is this discussion about religious stereotypes important to you?
It is very important. Every little bit makes a difference. Every mind is important, and the more people we can reach out to, the more we can talk to and discuss, the better.
After speaking with Imam Arij, we decided to go to our local Presbyterian church for another opinion. To start off, what's your name and what's your role in the community?
My name is Reverend Dr. Tim Archibald, and I am the lead minister here at Oak Ridge Presbyterian Church, right beside your school. Well, for me, religion is really very much about everyday life. It's about how we live every day in in dialogue with God, and how God helps to lead and guide us in making everyday decisions in the way that we live. The thing with Christianity is that Jesus' cross shows us as well that even our times of suffering, that God can turn those into points of growth and possibility even.
How do you think others perceive Christianity?
Well, I think that there's a variety of perceptions that are out there. And, some that I hear a lot in media these days are, first of all, that Christianity is outmoded and that it's declining. And, sometimes you sense in the media that Christianity or religion is kind of to be thrown away like an old cell phone that doesn't really add up anymore. Sometimes we're seen as being hypocritical, that we profess one thing and then we live another. And I guess the other thing that I perceive is that there's a distrust that especially maybe because of some of the recent scandals that have happened, whether it's been the story of the church's involvement with Indigenous residential schools and their involvement and treatment of Indigenous peoples, or whether it's been, in situations of abuse where priests have abused children, that these kinds of things have helped to shape an overall perception of the church and Christianity as well.
And then on the topic of social media, we know it has profound effects on the younger generation. How do you think you can address some of those misconceptions?
One of the things that I find is that often when I read media reports or snippets from media, that there's not really a lot of depth in them. I do find that the media coverage often is just following many of the stereotypes that we have about religion that I've just mentioned as well. And and also, I notice that the people that are often interviewed about religion or maybe the church or Christianity are often more fringe people. They're on the extreme ends sometimes, and so they might not even be the most formative voices within the church and within Christian tradition as well.
Is the discussion of religious stereotypes important?
I think that you've picked a great topic here. And, when I was thinking about these good questions that you gave to me, I thought, maybe some of the religious stereotypes actually begin with the people who are practicing religion. And maybe it begins with more of us getting together to talk to each other so that we make sure that Christians understand more about Muslims, and Muslims understand more about Hindus, and Hindus understand more about Jews, and so on, so that maybe it begins with those of us who are practicing faith, so that we can have more dialogue and be less fearful of each other sometimes.
As the minister said, it might be time to start looking inwards and seeing how we can uproot the cause of these stereotypes. In order to break these misconceptions, it is imperative that events where people of different religions can come together and speak to one another on friendly terms occur on a regular basis. Religion is a core part of most people's lives, and as the stereotypes surrounding them grow, it becomes more important to adjust them. Although we are not perfect, we can stay hopeful, as around 2/3 of Canadians still remain open-minded with different religious beliefs. It is imperative that we as a community, country, and a human race respect one another no matter someone's religion or worldview.